What's up traders? It's Thursday, September 11th, 2025. Welcome back to the video today and thanks for joining us. So quickly in our introduction today, we just saw the S&P 500 and Nasdaq make fresh records, which is amazing to see. Happy to be here today. Inflation data surprise to the downside and Oracle light the tape on AI strength. We aren't just coasting, the market's calling the next move. And in this session, you get what moved today, what to expect tomorrow, and 3 trade setups that are gigantic. All right, cool. So let's jump straight into it and take a look at this article on how major US stock indices fared. So the S&P 500 up 0.3%, Nasdaq up 0.1%, closing at new highs for both of them. The S&P at 6,532 and 4 cents, and the Nasdaq at 21,886 and 6 cents. So the Dow slipped 0.5% despite strong index pop elsewhere, and the Russell 2000 was pretty much flat. Not too much to talk about there. In other news, Oracle crushed it. Its guidance and AI growth forecast gave everything a tailwind. So there's more about that in here. Oracle soars on AI optimism. Then inflation. Wholesale prints cooled. The producer price index dropped unexpectedly, giving hope that consumer inflation might follow. So some interesting news coming out here, especially on Oracle. Then talking a little bit about the macro tone and bonds, also inflation setup. Here's why the desk is buzzing right now. So PPI drop in August was softer than expected. That lowers pressure on costs upstream. Worst case inflation risks step down. Treasury yields eased off following that inflation surprise. Long bonds caught a break. That's boosting valuations for growth and tech again. Finally, the Fed status. People are raising odds of a potential 25 BPS rate cut at the next meeting. Maybe even more depending on upcoming CPI. The inflation data tomorrow is becoming the headline maker. So let's keep an eye on that too. The risk factors are still there. Global supply chain pressures, heaps of geopolitical uncertainty, energy prices, especially oil and industrial input costs. But for now, the macro backdrop is tilting toward relief and optimism. Alright, I want to jump into this article that was on Reuters. So let's talk about flow, where money moved today and what sectors are waking up. So this is sector rotation. Firstly, tech and AI streak. So Oracle soared, as we discussed. It's lifted cloud names, semis and data center plays. The likes of Nvidia, AMD, Broadcom saw strong buying. AI isn't just a buzzword, it's powering today's leadership. Then inflation and losers. So defensives were part of that. With PPI dropping, some inflation hedges cooled. Some sectors that benefit from stable input costs like consumer staples and healthcare also saw strength. Consumer and discretionary was mixed. Oracle powered optimism, but Apple's hesitation weighed, especially with recent product event expectations. Then talking about financials, they remain cautious. Banks hedged, yields shifting, not leading the rally, but not getting crushed either. And lastly, small caps and our breadth watch. So the Russell's lagging or holding pretty much flat. Small caps didn't get the full love today. That suggests money still leaning towards quality rather than speculative breakouts. So for tomorrow, watch sectors like cloud and AI infrastructure, software, healthcare, and some defensive names for a hedge. They're likely to outperform if inflation data holds soft. Okay, now what I'm going to do is jump into trading view and give you some trade scenarios for tomorrow. I've got 3 of them for you here today. Alright, so here we are taking a look at Oracle, ticker symbol ORCL. So this is to ride the AI wave. So bull trigger holds today's high at open. If cloud guidance re-echoes and peers and trading volume picks up, long continuation is likely. And then for risk line, if it fails pre-market high and VWAP, fade toward prior support levels. Alright, cool. So now we're going to go to semis, and you guessed it, Nvidia, NVDA is the ticker symbol. So I've got a bull path and a sell or rotate path too. So let's remember, Nvidia is the barometer of growth. There we have it. Let me hide my annotations there. So the bull path, if Nvidia or chip ETFs break to new intraday highs with volume, tech leaders joining strength. And if we're going to sell or rotate, if semis struggle, watch for weakness in SMH and XLK as cues to rotate out. And our last play for today is healthcare, and this is a defensive play or a quality hedge. So actually we can use anyone, names like United Health, maybe large pharma that aren't dependent on consumer spending, could outperform if inflation concerns resurge. So let's say, for example, we use United Health. I'm not sure if I have it saved here. No, I don't. But anyway, a long trigger for United Health would be strength in healthcare ETF holding its range and volume. And a fade or sell trigger would be if interest sensitive sectors dip and defensive names roll over. So today talking about futures and key event risk. Producer price index is passed. Now consumer price index data coming up soon. That's going to shift the narrative for rate cut expectations. Then next, we've got upcoming earnings or guidance from big AI cloud names can amplify or mute today's optimism. And lastly, bond auctions and how treasuries trade early morning matters. If yield jump back before CPI, it can throw choppy open. Futures tonight suggest a modestly higher open for most indices, especially tech heavy ones. Key will be whether the inflation surprise sticks or reverses. Okay, everyone. So, a closing touch for our video today. The key takeaways were new records for S&P and Nasdaq thanks to Oracle's AI-driven forecast and soft inflation data. Macros bending in favor of rate cut hopes. PPI drop is a huge story. Tech and AI is leading as usual. Healthcare and defensives being respected. Small caps trailing. And tomorrow's major catalyst is CPI. Let's be nimble. The trade plan is to long ORCL. Semis of strength shows early. Lean into defensives if inflation data pulses worry. Tight risk, tight stops. Let's stay hot, stay sharp. This setup could burn off early or blow off into momentum. Whatever happens, trade the confirmation, not the hype. And I'll see you tomorrow at the open. So thank you for joining our video today and happy trading.